or presenting some insights into machine learning for understanding the pedestrian mobility. Okay, so as we know that our infrastructure is growing and also we are now moving towards smart cities. So there is a concern about how we are managing our pedestrian facilities. Okay, and with that we are also concerned about the security and other aspects related to pedestrian movements. So basically, in the need of understanding pedestrian mobility comes first due to the safety measures. So as we know that most of the time we are traveling or we are walking through various spaces and road networks, etc. So we actually want to know how our motion is or how our mobility pattern is. So that is one of the points that we try to means go for pedestrian, understanding the pedestrian mobility. Second point is related to infrastructure enhancement. So infrastructure enhancements is related to how we are designing our spaces or buildings and everything. Whether our movement or flow is actually means up to the mark or efficient or not. So one of the things that we have seen during our COVID-19 is that one of the measures that were given by the government is the social distancing. So social distancing is also related to how physically means how physically you are distancing yourself, and if your space is not designed according to that, so it is not very much possible to maintain that gap. Okay, so after that, the third point is related to our vehicles. Okay, so when we are driving vehicles in a road network or any road infrastructure, so one of the problem we face in developing countries is related to the peoples who are pedestrians. They move here and there, sometimes without maintaining the uh, proper traffic laws. Okay, so in that case, if we have sensors in our vehicles or any computer vision or AI based system in our means vehicle, then we can easily able to detect pedestrian movements in the road network. Okay, that will help enhance security in the uh, road network. Fourth one is crowd flow management. So crowd flow management is very important. For example, in India, we host a large amount of a lot of religious pilgrims and lot of events. Given the density of our population and the in comparison to our space provided, so it is obvious that in the events we got a large number of crowds. For example, in elections, in religious gatherings, and these. So in those events, we need to understand what is the flow of the crowd, and if we try to get the uh, intensity or the direction of the flow, then we can easily uh, avoid some unfortunate incidents like stampede. So basically, what are the sources of pedestrian data? So as we know that today the uh, installation of CCTV cameras are very prominent. Okay, every place you can get video surveillance, be it in traffic or in your college or any other places. You can see that video surveillance is not very uh, costly, or and it is becoming very cheap and cost effective. Okay, so now pedestrian data can be we can get from video surveillance. Second point is related to sensor in smartphones. So those sensors in smartphones can give you your pedestrian data. So that data can also provide uh, the application management, the mobile applications, the data related to pedestrian movements. Third is the data that we provide through social media or any mobile applications related to our personal movement or pedestrian movements data. Okay. So for understanding pedestrian mobility, or to work technically in the area of pedestrian mobility, the first thing that comes into our mind is that related to the CCTV cameras. Okay, so if we want to go for if we want to understand pedestrian mobility, we need video feeds. Okay, so apart from this Twitter data or Facebook data that also provides some pedestrian mobility, means it glimpse into the pedestrian mobility, the video feed is one of the good sources for uh, for pedestrian movements. Okay, now for video processing, the one of the established tool is computer vision. So this area is actually an area in which students or peoples can go if they want to detect pedestrian movements or to understand pedestrian mobility. So there are various algorithms that are provided in computer vision, especially related to object detection. Okay, so object detection, the algorithms related to object detection can also be applied to the pedestrians. Okay, now the challenges that we face during pedestrian mobility is because of the varied poses, occlusion, and crowd density area tracking. So one of the typical means challenge is related to occlusion. So what is occlusion? Suppose there is a person is there and there is another person just behind it. So if we want to detect pedestrians, so there are two pedestrians, but if your computer program or algorithm is detecting it as only one pedestrian, then it is predicting it as wrong because there are two pedestrians. So one pedestrian is, or one person is actually occluded by the another. Okay, here. So this is one of the challenges in pedestrian detection or pedestrian mobility for understanding pedestrian mobility. Now, the area of pedestrian mobility is somehow can be termed as the summation of pedestrian detection and pedestrian tracking. First, we try to detect who are the pedestrians, and then we try to track them. Okay. So tracking will give us the trajectory of the pedestrian, how they are moving, what is the course of action of their movement or the course of their movement. So that is provided by the pedestrian tracking. And pedestrian detection provides you that given a frame of a video, whether there is a pedestrian present in it or not, or the number of pedestrians present in it. So here you can see that we have a space. In space we have various peoples, so those peoples are pointed with red. Okay, so here we have an image in which we can see, the third image, we can see that there are a lot of people with red points on them. So here you can see there is it is an example where the occlusion is taking place, in which one person is occluding the another. Okay, if we are able to get the number of heads present in the area accurately, then we can know what is the number of people present here. Now after that we have something related to tracking. So here we can see we have two types of tracking. One is discrete and another is continuum. In the discrete tracking, what is happening? We are tracking every individual person or every individual pedestrian. And in the continuum, we are trying to form a cluster or cluster of trajectories or tracks to form a continuum flow. So that will give us the direction of the crowd flow. So basically, when we are going for pedestrian detection, first we have to collect the pedestrian image patches. So the pedestrian image patches will be acting as the training images. Okay, then we have to pre-process them in some of the in some of the feature extraction techniques. We need to resize the images, or we may need to transform the image into some other system. Okay, so that is part of our pre-processing. After that, we need to extract the features from the image patches. Those image patches will be used for training the machine learning model, and then we will go for the deployment. So at present, there are various pedestrian feature extraction techniques are available. Okay, so some of them that which are commonly used are local binary pattern histograms, histogram of gradients, scale invariant feature transform, and speeded up robust features. So in local binary pattern histogram, it is one of the simplest and the earliest way of transforming the image into a binary pattern. So here we will be using a sliding window, and in this sliding window, the central pixel. So here you can see the 3x3 pixel means filter is given, and after that we can see the central pixel, which is given as 90. So taking 90 as the threshold, the neighborhood pixels which have values greater than 90 are given value 1, and those having value less than 90 is given 0. So these values are then sequentially collected and form the binary sequence. This binary sequence is then converted into decimal, and this decimal is replacing the central pixel. Okay, so in this way, all the pixels are transformed into another system. So here you can see the original image, and then you get the LBP or local binary pattern image result. So this image, LBP image, is then transformed into histograms, and those histograms are used as patterns for the features for the model, or training the model. So here what we can get is that we are not using the original image for training, but a transformed image, or the transform or features that are collected from the transformed image as input to the training model. So next is histogram of gradients. It is one of the popular, and those who are working, those who want to work in pedestrian or in object detection algorithm. So it is very popular and very common. Okay. So basically, the histogram of gradients is based on is generally tracking the local appearance and shape of the object. It is also related to how the intensities are changing. So this is the gradient. Okay, so gradient is defined by the rate of change of a function with respect to the direction, that is delta x or delta y. So here we try to get the change in the pixel, okay, in x direction and in the y direction. So using those changes, we collect the vector, okay, magnitude, and then the direction of the change. So these so also we can use Prewitt operator and Sobel operator for getting the gradients also. So now for collecting the histogram of gradients, we first pre-process the data into 64 by 128. Actually it is transformed into a ratio of 1:2. Okay, then after transforming it into 1:2 ratio, we divide it into 8x8 cells. So in the 8x8 cells, we try to see the magnitude. The magnitude is calculated using this formula. Okay, and in those 8x8 means cells, we try to fill up the magnitude and the orientation. So now after that we create a 9 cross 1 vector. So the 9 cross 1 vector is actually dividing the orientations, that is 0 to 180 degree, into 9 parts, that is 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80, just like that, and 160 to 180. And the orientation, and according to the orientation we fill the gradient values into those boxes or the histogram area. After that we normalize the gradients in 16 cross 16 cells, and those, after combining, we get a single matrix of 36 cross 1 matrix. Okay, so a particular means image. So here you can see a particular image consists of a pedestrian, and in the background we have other things also, but as we are only interested with the pedestrian, we first have to crop the pedestrian. Okay, and we have to resize it into the ratio of 1:2, and then we can extract the features. So here you can see, suppose this is the input image. So this is the histogram of gradients. This histogram of gradients is then used in the modeling. Now, what is the problem with the HOG and local binary pattern is that they are not applicable to every scale. Suppose you are training your model for an image that is at a particular scale. Okay, then if you provide the same model with a image which is lesser in scale, okay, or in lesser, or you can say some have low resolution, then it will not work. Okay, so in that case we have to use SIFT, that is scale invariant feature transform. So actually scale invariant feature transform is a densely, it gives you a dense means features, dense features that is scale invariant, means if you change the scale, the features will work fine. Okay, so so here we transform the image data into scale invariant coordinates relative to the local features. Okay, so in SIFT a large number of features covers the image. Okay. So the number of features that are coming out of the SIFT or after SIFT transform is quite large. But one of the advantage is that this feature extraction is invariant to rotation, illumination, and scale. So what is happening actually here is SIFT is that, suppose there is an image. So for a particular image, we will first create some octaves. Octaves are nothing but the image at different scale. So suppose you have an image, you have to recreate some other images of different scales. Okay, and for this image you have to apply the Gaussian filter. Okay, so here suppose there is a particular image, and for the particular image we are applying Gaussian to the images. Okay, so in the lowermost image Gaussian, so in the lowermost this Gaussian, we have applied the value sigma. In the next we can apply k sigma, and then in the subsequent it will add up. The value of sigma will add up. Now what is the purpose of doing this? The purpose of doing this is that, suppose I have an image at a particular scale, I am smoothing the image in using the value of sigma. Now we use difference of Gaussian. So the difference of Gaussian is used to get the interesting points. Okay, so when we are differencing it, we are getting the change. So here you can see that we are selecting a point as interesting points if in the neighborhood of a particular scale and it above and below. If we are comparing them, then it will be either maximum or minimum. Okay, so this extreme point is collected and selected as the extreme interesting or key point. So after that, this key point, after the selection of this point as a key point, we try to find the orientations around this point so that we can get a rotational invariance feature. So here you can see the result. Suppose you can see here there is a truck, okay, and there is a frog. So suppose we are collecting the features of this truck and this frog using shift. Now we have to match. We have to identify or detect this car and this frog into the image. So you can see there is a frog here, and there are two trucks here. But what is the issue? The issue is that here the trucks are inverted, one in this direction and one in opposite direction, and this frog is occulted by this object. Okay, but still shift can identify some of the features here of the frog and the engine. So, and also you can see the image of the frog is small here and it is large here. Okay, occulted and large. So this is the this is how shift is efficient in providing features for detection. Another thing here you can see is related to pedestrians. So here the points are given, okay, which are these are the key points from this shift. So now after shift, shift generates a lot of features, and also it uses a difference of Gaussian. It is comparatively slow. Okay, shift is comparatively slow. So to overcome that, we use SURF, that is speeded up robust features. So it approximates Laplacian of Gaussian with box filter. So it uses box filter. It also provides you with a local and similarity invariant representation and for comparing the images. So there are two things that it generally uses for speeding up. That is, first is integral image. So integral image is nothing but, suppose there is a location at an image that is x. So the value at x will be represented as the sum of all the pixels in the neighborhood, and you can define the neighborhood with using a rectangle. So this SURF uses the determinant of Hessian matrix for both scale and location. So Hessian matrix provides a good performance in computation time and accuracy. So it uses for invariance in orientation. It uses Haar Veblet for calculating the features, and also a squared region to align the selected orientation and extract the SURF descriptor from it. Okay. So now for pedestrian detection classification. Okay, so once the features are extracted, we provide the features to the model. So that is the regular practice that is done by all the machine learning practitioners. So according to literature, I have seen that SVM, that is support vector machine, there are variants of support vector machine: linear, polygon, okay, latent. So that is very popular for detection. So after that, so also random forest and AdaBoost cascade classifiers are also very popular. So these are also used. But one of the main thing that I have observed is that if you work on the feature extraction techniques or feature extraction uh, approach, so that will be very so that will make the detection procedure very efficient. So one of the things researchers do is that they try to do some hybridization of the uh, feature extraction approaches. So one of them is the one of them is the combination of LBPH, okay, that is local binary pattern, with HOG, that is histogram of gradients. People, some of them use these combination for feature extraction, and those features are then fed to the uh, machine learning models, or or they use SIFT with HOG, or SURF with HOG, or SIFT with L, local binary pattern histogram. So these combination they use for gaining the accuracy. So now there is a champion in the market, that is deep learning. Okay, so actually now there is various models are coming in CNN that is very efficient, and their performance or accuracy is very great. Okay, but deep learning comes with a very common means challenge, that is related to the hardware infrastructure that we need. Okay, so the hardware infrastructure is one of the means bottleneck for those who for those students who want to do some pedestrian detection, or for going for pedestrian mobility. So so as we know that in deep learning, it is very easy to learn features from raw pixels. Okay, so and most of the job is done by the convolution neural networks. Okay, convolution layers, they do the most of your jobs, so you don't have to deep dive into how they are extracting the features. Okay, so so basically the pipeline of pedestrian detection comprise of a region proposal, feature extraction, and a region classification. So in region proposal, suppose there is an image given to you, or a frame of a video is provided to you. So the frame, in the frame there may be human, or there may be some other objects, or any other background is provided. So first thing is that you need some area within the image that may contain the human, okay, or some object. So first, the region proposal takes the entire frame, and within the frame it gives you some regions in which pedestrian or any human may be there. Okay, so that is one of the first step towards pedestrian detection. After that, we extract the features from the candidate regions. So once the features from the candidate regions are extracted, we provide it to the classifier, and the classifier will give you the result whether the region is the region which you have provided, or the features that you extracted from the region is a pedestrian, or it is a or it is not a pedestrian. So initially, when we are using the combination of feature extractor and machine learning models, we are generally concerned with with this classification. That is, either it is pedestrian or it is not a pedestrian. Okay. Now, it was the initial phase of pedestrian detection. Now, what is happening? We are more concerned about the orientation of the pedestrian, whether it is the pedestrian is oriented toward the back side, or left side, front side, or right side. Okay, or there is no pedestrian, that is negative. Okay, now Another means another requirement or another involvement in the requirement is that whether the pedestrian is having some another thing with it. Okay, this is the advanced version. So that is means another means addition to our requirement for classification. Okay, so now you can see how the requirement is changing. Initially, it was whether it is pedestrian or not, or whether it is negative or there is no pedestrian. Now we need to classify them. Okay, whether the pedestrian is having bag or not, whether the pedestrian is female or not, okay, or male or not, whether it is a child or not. So this kind of requirement is also increasing. Now another thing here you can see is that the person, suppose the person is occulted by another person. Suppose a person is standing in front of another person, or we can see only certain part of a pedestrian. Okay, so those features we have to extract, and then we have to train so that we can classify two persons. When there is an occultation, we can identify two persons rather than one. Okay. So it is one of the architecture that is using. I am not going deep dive into this architecture. Okay. So here the model is trained using both pedestrians and the backgrounds. Okay, here the model is trained. This is a CNN model. So it is trained both with the pedestrians and the backgrounds. So it will give you as a result, it can classify as whether it is pedestrian or not, pedestrian attributes. Pedestrian attributes means whether it is a child or not, whether it is carrying a bag or not, or whether it is a male or female or other things. Okay, and then shared background attributes. What are the attributes of the background? So unshared background attributes. So you can see here that how it has evolved from pedestrian to non-pedestrian. Then it has evolved to whether you have to identify what is the attributes of the pedestrian. So this is the power of CNN. Now, so once you have detected the pedestrian, you also try to try to track them. Okay, what is their movement or flow? Okay. So in intelligent video surveillance system, there are 4 steps, namely. So first is your object detection, then classification, then tracking, and then analysis. So after classifying whether it is pedestrian or not, or any vehicle or not, so we need to track it. So basically there are 2 types of tracking. So one is point tracking and another is kernel tracking. So kernel tracking is basically related to a rectangular patch or an ellipse which is around the object, whereas in point tracking we relies on the positions or motions of the points representing the target object. So pedestrian tracking are of two types, that is deterministic and probabilistic. So in probabilistic we have particle filters and Kalman filters, and in deterministic methods we have mean shift tracking algorithm and cam shift tracking algorithm. So all these algorithms you can find in CV2 library, that is computer vision library in Python. You can find all of these you can find all the libraries for all these things into CV2 Python. So particle filter is, I can say, is an advance of Kalman filters. So Kalman filters was basically for linear system with unimodal Gaussian noises, but it is not accurate for non-linear, non-Gaussian multimodal characteristics of the system. But there is an advancement, that is extended Kalman filter, that somehow gives you some significant improvement in non-linear system also. So one of the papers, they have done multiple object tracking, okay, using particle filters. So here, first the object or the pedestrian that we want to track, we have to create a rectangular patch around that target object. The target model is then converted into HSV histogram. So here we are transforming our image patch of the target into HSV histogram. So the HSV histogram will act as some kind of feature for particle filtering. So the procedure of particle filtering is generally starts with randomly selecting some particles from the given distribution, and some weights are assigned to it. Now after that, we need to predict the new particle states. Okay, those new particle states are predicted based on some transition equation or some movement equation. So there are various social forces movement means models that are present, and some researchers take a help of that to define the movements or the next steps of the uh, means pedestrian. So after that, we update the weights of the particles. Okay, and then the weights are normalized so that they can sum up to 1. So those weights are then used to take the system to take the state to actually those weights are summed up average to get the state of the system. After that, we do the resampling of all the particles, and those the particles whose weights are negligible are then taken out of the system, and some new particles are then added. So here you can see there is a man, and around the man we have various particles. So here there are some particles here also. This particle. So this particle is not tracking the movement of the person. Okay, so the weights are updated based on the similarity. Okay, based on the similarity, the weights will be updated. So now we have mean shift tracking algorithm. So mean shift tracking algorithm is based on mean shift clustering algorithm. So here it is a non-parametric feature space analysis technique. So you can see here so suppose there is a space and it is a clustering algorithm. So suppose first there is a random point here. So around the random point we create a neighborhood. So within this neighborhood all the points are used to create a mean. So suppose the mean is here, of all the points the mean is here. So now there is a shift of the mean. So from here the mean will shift here. So this is the new mean, and in the and around this mean we will create a neighborhood. Again we will do the same thing and we will shift the mean. So this shifting will take place until there is no shift in the mean. Okay, so the same concept is used for the tracking. So for tracking, first we try to take the pedestrian image in the form of a rectangular patch. The pedestrian is considered as the target model, and it is means transformed into HSV histogram for features. Okay, so actually when we are doing the we for this similarity we will use Bhattacharya coefficient. So when you are using the mean shift tracking, when we shift the mean, after shifting the mean, we will try to match the histogram of the new neighborhood with the histogram of the target. If that matches, then there will be a tracking box on the object. So there is a problem with mean shift algorithm. The problem is that if the target object moves with high speed velocity, or there is an increase in abrupt velocity, so the tracking will not be proper. The second is that if the object is severely occulted, then there will be a problem. So so these two things, that is particle filtering and mean shift tracking algorithm, these are tracking algorithm, and we have seen that in for this uh, pedestrian mobility, we need two things, that is detection and tracking. So that will give us the initial data for our further research or further consideration for clustering and etc. of the crowd and other thing, or the movement of the crowd and the direction where the crowd is going or the pedestrian is going. So there are various other things that you can go into this area for research. So this is how the mean shift tracking for the pedestrian works. So initially there is a person here. Okay, so we need to track this person or the player. So we create a rectangular box around it. So once we create a rectangular box around it, we will extract the features in the form of histogram, HSV values. So those HSV values are then matched by the mean shift tracking algorithm in the consequent frames. And the bounding box is created when there is a match. If there is if it is not matching, then it will give you negative results. So here you can see, so it is tracking. So another so there is another player. Okay, there is a bounding box and it will be tracking it. So this is mean shift tracking, and there are various advancement to it also. That is, cam shift is also a good enhancement. So here you can see that it is tracking only the white ball, because it has because of pixels, based on the pixels, it has created the histogram. But the problem is that if there is no clear distinction between the object, the pixels of the object, and the background, then there will be a problem in tracking. Okay, so that is all from my side. If you have some questions.